welcome to the Tourism Hub podcast, a podcast devoted to you and your excellence, providing inspiration and education for the entrepreneurs, experience makers, and excellence seekers of our industry to take your tourism business and career to a whole new level. And I am your host, Nikolaos. Well, hello there, Your Excellencies. Yes, I am your host, Nikolaos, and this is your podcast, Tourism Hub, brought to you by Institute of Excellence. And I am so thrilled to have you joining me on this very special episode. So deeply, deeply humbled you are here. The theme of what our discussion and special guest is centered around today is lessons in collaboration from the most important transnational tourism route of the 21st century. Now, it is with pleasure I'm going to tell you a little bit about my guest today. His name is Nikolaos Gkolfinopoulos. He holds a master's degree in international sustainable tourism management from Monash University in Australia and a bachelor's degree in economic sciences from Aristotle University of Thessaloniki in Greece. Nikolaos, or Nikos as we love to affectionately call him, is currently working for the UNWTO since 2016 and currently holds the position of Silk Road Project Specialist with the Technical Corporation and Silk Road Department. Among others, Nikos is dedicated to the promotion of sustainable tourism development and the sustainable development goals of the strategic, international and interregional tourism development, public-private tourism partnerships, the creation of new Silk Road tourism intelligence, and assessing the social impact tourism has for the local societies and communities. Nowadays, he enjoys working in the tourism recovery, assisting destinations and member states overcome the tourism challenges that the pandemic has given us. Nikos identifies as a person of Greek heart and global citizen spirit. Don't you love that? He's got a Greek heart and global citizen spirit. Welcome to the Tourism Hub, Nikos.
Hello, everyone. Hi, Despina. How are you?
Hello, dear Nikos. It is such a pleasure to have you join me on the Tourism Hub podcast. Finally, so I'm
the
thrilled.
pleasure is mine.
Yeah, so you're currently located in Madrid, in Spain. Is that right?
Spain, yes. Because here is the base of the World Tourism Organization, so I'm based here in the capital of Spain.
Global citizen spirit and soul. Now, we met a long time ago when you were living in Melbourne and while you were studying your master's in tourism, and you just did, it's just one of those unbelievable and unforgettable meetings with someone to receive a LinkedIn message, and we shared a coffee at a lovely Greek little coffee shop, and I was just so inspired by you, Nikos. One, that you were so young and made this journey all the way to Melbourne and studying your master's in tourism. It was really, we hit it off straight away. We had very similar interests.
Yeah, absolutely.
Now, what was it that led you to tourism? Because you studied economics in a Bachelor in Economic Sciences. What was it after you finished at Aristotle University in Thessaloniki that drove you to pursue a further academic and a career in tourism?
Well, I think there are three factors here. One is that I wanted to do a master's abroad, for sure. So this is the first. The second one is that during the tourism is an economic activity. So it was studied during my bachelor's as one of the economic activities. I remember we did a class on tourism development, and this really attracted my interest. And then, well, I decided that I needed to pursue my dream, and tourism was one of the big industries that interested me, at least of what I have learned through my bachelor's, but also living in Greece, that is such heavily dependent on tourism. And it was at the moment that the crisis has already started in Greece. And you were saying that you really need to enforce the sectors of Greece and help them develop. And this is how I decided that, okay, I think tourism is calling me, and it was true. So this is how it happened.
And then when you decided, when you would have looked all around the world to pursue your studies, if you're looking at tourism specifically, what was it that attracted you to come over to Melbourne and Monash specifically?
Okay, I don't know if you believe in destiny, but but I will tell you this, and I don't suggest, I don't recommend this to anyone. It was during my first years of the bachelor's, during a summer going around with friends. And one of these friends said that Australia has very good masters, as a rumor, as an information shared with us. And I said, really? I'm going to Australia. And everybody was like, okay, right. First, finish your bachelor's, that you have 3 years more to finish it. And then we can discuss if you do masters and where you will do it. And I'm like, I don't care what you say, we'll go to Australia. So this is how really the idea of Australia entered my mind, because to be honest, I had no family. I'm not a Greek that has family in Melbourne, though I now have, and this is very valuable for me. Though what I want to say is that during these 3 years, that the rest 3 years of my bachelor's, I decided that okay, I'll do this. Then I identified tourism as the sector that I want to focus on, and well, deciding at which city in Australia I will go, I think there was no question about choosing Melbourne. It has such a big Greek element that I thought that it would be the best way to start my life in Australia, and it was.
And you absolutely have a lot of family now if you come back to Melbourne. And it's quite surprising that you don't, with so many Greeks in Melbourne, that there was no family. But you've adapted. You've chosen your own family. Now, for any students and professionals, so whether they're students in the same boat, whether they're coming from a pathway of studying tourism at TAFE or pursuing their academic pathway through to a bachelor's or a master's degree, or looking at a career change and listening to us to come over and swing into tourism to help with its recovery. When you entered this and prior to joining UNWTO, did you have some clarity around what this would look like as a role? Was that clear for you that this, sustainability in tourism at some capacity is what you were going to pursue?
Big question, and I think we need to be honest, because many people are now during the student's life stage, and then it's very important to say that no, it was not clear. I know very few people that had it very clear from the beginning on what a future role would be, and actually we're not. I don't think that we are able to predict the future in such a detail of what tasks you will be having, etc. Exactly. So I knew it as a concept. I studied it as a concept, and I worked within the masters as a concept on sustainability and tourism. But to be honest, no, I had no previous working experience on tourism sustainability on the ground, on how you make this project actually materialize on the ground, with what actions you need to take, what activities will be taken in place, and what would be your role in pushing this forward. Therefore, Despina, it wasn't clear, but the thing that it's not clear, it shouldn't be an obstacle or something that you will fear the future about. Because to be honest, because it's not clear, this is an adventure for you to discover. It's actually, it should be used as a motivation for you to clear this out as you go. and always there are going to be things that are not clear in our life stages, but this is the beauty of it.
And that's the beauty, that when opportunities present themselves, then the clarity comes that, ooh, that's just, I felt something there. I'm excited by that. I'm going to explore that further. So, and you're right, because sometimes with, doing something like when I had first started, it was a TAFE course. So it was very heavily centered around becoming a travel agent. It was very clear that was, but then
Yeah.
the further I got down the track and the more opportunities opened up, then I mean, there was just more doors to explore and open. And
Sure.
so you're absolutely right. Not having the clarity shouldn't be a deterrent. And also something that, even given that we are an industry that has been heavily impacted, particularly like there's plenty of work to be done with good people that are passionate about it to help get onto the other side. Now, you lived away from home from a young age, because even when you went to Thessaloniki, that's not your hometown. So
No,
you had to
no,
move
it's not.
away, even from pretty much from high school, and build your career. Where did that courage come from for you, and how do you feel that that experience has served you moving forward, living in foreign countries and getting out of your comfort zone like that from a young age without that support network around you?
Okay, so this is a very crucial question, I would say, because you see that there are two main factors here. One is you as a person, what is your nature, your characteristics. If you have a curiosity for the unknown, then this will help you and push you to do that journey. On the other hand, you initially need a support. And this came, at least in my case, from my family. Therefore, if I have to blame two factors for me being able to do this journey far away from home and continue being the case right now, is that first I have a natural curiosity of the unknown, and second I have the support of my family, which is very important. You know very well that Greeks are very familiar people, and how important family is for us. Therefore, if you have the support, this is a very, very big advantage.
And now you have the advantage that you're a lot closer to them as well, right? In Spain than when you were for the time that you were here in Melbourne. We're so
That
far
was
away from the
mm,
homeland. Yeah.
yeah. I think well, this was really a challenge. Not that much for me, but mostly for my family, because I was in Australia, I was in Melbourne, I was creating a new life. I was working, I was studying, I was meeting new people, I was doing new things that I've never thought about, and seeing new places, and being on a whole new environment. This, as information is too much, it's able to occupy your whole day as days pass through. However, if you see it on the other side, for my family, they were on the same place, they were in their routine, in the normal stage. So the only thing missing was me.
Yeah.
Therefore,
Yeah.
I would say that the difficulty was more for my family than for me. Though you really understand when you're in Australia that you are that far away when you start disconnecting from all the differences that exist in the topics that the public speak about in the media topics, the media themes. What is news for Europe and what is news for Australia is a completely different story. Therefore, I remember moving away from Europe to Australia. It was during the economic crisis, and every day we would hear news about the economic crisis. And then I come to Australia, and I had time a little bit to relax my mind and focus on other things than listening. How bad it is, how difficult are the times ahead of us, etc. So it's a completely different setting, I have to say.
That's really interesting because I remember even when we were talking about the pandemic and I was saying to you, like, I've never taken so much interest in politics than now. And you say, well, finally, like you guys are, that's because you had realized that
Yeah.
it's something that we just we're living this very laid back life. It hasn't been something that we've had that connection to. And I remember that you say, and I'm like, yeah, you're right. Because I've noticed it within myself suddenly. I know, yeah, I'm interested in who these leading players are governing these rules. Whereas before, I just kind of let it happen and didn't, didn't have that level of awareness. Now, with your experience in Australia, I'm curious, what were some of your highlights or some things that surprised and delighted you? Did you get to travel around? Like, what were some fond memories that you have of your time here?
I was able to travel, but not a lot, just because I was working to help us make money to pay the masters. Because for Australia, the master's degrees for international students, the fees are way higher. Therefore, sometimes it's you really need to work in order to be able to have this money to pay the university. And this is what we speak about dedication on a goal. So for me, it was I will do the masters no matter what. So I will find my way to do that and help myself reach my dream. But I did travel a little bit. I remember I went to Sydney. I love Melbourne way more. Sorry, Sydney. And then I traveled around Melbourne and Victoria as a whole, Great Ocean Road, Phillip Island, and more. But not. I went to Adelaide. Yes, and then I traveled outside Australia when I was in the region. But yes, that's it. Don't forget that I was there only for 2 years with masters and work included.
Yes.
So I mean, the time seems a lot, but if I see it now from my perspective, it was actually a short time. I would like to repeat some more of it.
Yes.
But things that surprised me from Australia. The friendliness of the people, though being very Anglo-Saxon of the system, Anglo-Saxonic system, the friendliness of the people is something that you wouldn't expect given the system, the social system. So this is something really, really nice. And I mean, they demonstrate the friendliness with openness. It's not that other people are not friendly, but they're not that open as Australians are. And this is something that I really appreciated. I like the structure that you have in doing things. Though I think at some points it becomes too focused on the structure than actually the creativity of it. But the structure works for the majority of times, because if you don't have structure, then you just cannot. You don't have the base to be creative. And what else I loved from Australia? The food. Okay, the fact that I could find food from all over the world in a very good quality.
Yeah.
So it's not only having many different types of gastronomy, but also having this in a very good quality as well. And this leads me to the ultimate, for me, the multiculturality of Melbourne. Because this was the first time that I was living in a city that it's not only based in one culture, and that you see the imprint of each culture in the everyday life of Melbourne, being that you're passing by a suburb and it has million of different cuisines, be that you're hearing different languages or different types of entertainment that you can have whilst in Melbourne still. So this was very, very important for me, the multiculturality aspect.
Oh, I love it. And even Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
So of course the Greeks are there. So
Yeah.
it was always nice to connect with aspects of home.
Oh, look, and it's at the time of this recording, this has been the first day today out of the first stage out of a quite heavy lockdown over the last 3 months. So I'm very much looking forward to heading to our city to smell the smells and hear the sounds of Melbourne and experience all of what you've just described. So, as like your journey, and you've got a big role at UNWTO, so that's the United Nations World Tourism Organization, and moving over to Madrid. Now, you hold this position at the moment, or actually, just tell us the journey about joining the team and what attracted you to this role in the first place. What was that feeling when you kind of went, "I'll just leave it to the universe and on destiny," and then the universe collided that this role presented, which is knowing you is so perfect for you.
Okay, so thank you, and well, you know the story, but let me give these
Yes,
highlights. First of all,
yes.
the concept was to continue living in Australia, applying for the 2 years postgraduate visa. But just a little bit before I finished my master, I applied. There was a position opening, and I applied for it. And it turns out that I got it. It was a funny story how I got it, because I was working at Wireless Market and Social Research there in Melbourne. I was supervising some research activities, and then I received an email from my boss saying that she would like to talk to me. But because there are so many hours of difference, imagine that right now we have 10 hours of difference. You're 10 hours ahead. She called me at 11 o'clock at night. So during the day, I had no idea why she wanted to talk to me about. Would it be because thank you very much for applying, but we're not interested? Or would it be, well, you have to change your whole life now and move from Australia to Spain? Well, it was the second. So I remember I was walking on the street when I received the call, and then she told me, and I was just super excited, and this is how it started. Then I came to Madrid and started working as within the Silk Road department. It was the Silk Road program back then, and it was only focusing on Silk Road. But right now we are really focusing on not on the part of the Silk Road. Right now, after 4 years, there has been structural changes. We are a bigger department called Technical Cooperation and Silk Road. And so you would say that I have two roles. When it comes to Silk Road, my role is, along with my colleague Patrick, is to really help the 35 member states that we have develop tourism based on the imprint of the tangible and intangible cultural heritage they have. So within a country, some destinations have Silk Road aspects and elements. In others, there are a lot of destinations. It might be the whole country, but in other countries, it might be some fewer destinations. Therefore, the marketing strategy on developing Silk Road tourism is different. The need for creation of Silk Road tourism intelligence, and this is data related to Silk Road tourism, and how you actually use this data to make your destination intelligent on the way that you're managing your tourists based on informed decisions deriving by the data. So depending on the destinations, depending on the country, we have a different approach. And as I said, we have 35 member states. But apart from working on a country level, we also working on the collaboration between them. So you were with us back in 2018
Yes,
in Thessaloniki
I miss it.
when we did this very big event inviting ministers from all of these countries, ministers of tourism, to discuss how we move forward in a synergetic way. So we were all together taking joint decisions. So the collaboration between the countries, and these are countries that are very different. Imagine that Spain is a member state, but also is Uzbekistan. Spain and Uzbekistan, when you see it on the outside, has nothing to do with it. Well, they're not, the similarities are very few. But when you see it from a Silk Road perspective, you see that there was an ancient route of traders that exchanged cultures, exchanged a lot of technology, exchanged gastronomy, exchanged religion, apart from products. And then you can see the connection, you can explore the connection. Be that from the port of Valencia, that it's and Valencia city, that it's a Silk Road city of Spain, to the land routes that are passing through Uzbekistan, because the whole of Uzbekistan has this Silk Road character. It's like a national identity. Therefore, there are a lot of collaborations, a lot of country approaches that we take. But when it comes to the other part of the role, the technical cooperation, then this is super contemporary right now. What we do is that we provide on-the-ground expertise to our partners, be that the member states or on a destination or a local level project. So we actually, the range is vast. It has almost no limits on the expertise that we can provide to them. And we, right now, due to the pandemic, we have developed the tourism recovery technical assistance package, where we have grouped all the expertise that we have and aligned it with how we can use this expertise to address the challenges that the COVID-19 brings for the tourism sector all around the world. So we have created this tourism recovery technical assistance package, and we are working on it with different countries and different destinations on many projects right now. So our work is it has skyrocketed during the pandemic. So we are the opposite. You know that we have unfortunately seen many businesses putting the brakes and many organizations really stopping just because of the impact of the pandemic. But on the other hand, we have our work has been skyrocketing since then, and we are really having a lot of projects that we are now starting to work on the ground with the respective partners.
So you have your 35 member states that make up part of the Silk Road experience, which is essentially 35 countries that yes. are part of that. But now with a global pandemic, this opens it up, and you and the team are now all hands on deck to provide. And that's not a one size fits all. Like a COVID recovery for one country is going to be so different. So what does that collective look like that sits under the UNWTO of how many countries are under that umbrella that you would have various different departments looking after?
Okay, if you see it on a national perspective, like as a country, we have 159 members at the moment, member states, but you have to, we have to understand that sometimes we might work with a country on a national level, or at a local level, or at the destination level, at the regional level. This makes a lot of difference on the variety of projects that we do on the ground. And this is the beauty of it. It's very complex, but also very fulfilling working on these various levels, because you see how the tourism sector is as an ecosystem, and how these different levels need to work, and the stakeholders of these different levels, because it's different to speak to the ministry and different to speak to the residents of a city.
It is, look, and I saw you firsthand when we had this incredible opportunity to work together in Thessaloniki of managing and traversing those relationships, because I can see from collaborating to bring a project to life, but also the collaboration within a team, internally and external people, to have the same vision. What are some, and that was the first time I'd ever heard of the term transnational. It's like, wow, we are, we always being kind of, we're always looking at like how can regions collaborate, or within a region, from tourism businesses to collaborate. So collaboration within tourism is critical, whether it's the destination, region, a business, or even
Absolutely.
as a professional to network. It's heavily important. What are some tips and strategies like for you to bring people on board as a central key leader in bringing a collective together? Have you developed some
You need
really
some
good?
skills.
I need
You
some.
need some skills.
Yeah. I'd love to.
No, no, you personally. I'm saying that someone needs some skills in order to be able to do that. And it's a set of skills. Some of these skills are based on on working in multicultural environments, and at least in my case, passing through Melbourne to this journey that I am now, this helped me because it was my first multicultural experience that I had. And also had it as on a living level, on a studying level, and also on a working level when I was living in Melbourne. So this was very good. When I came to UNWTO, though you have people from all over the world speaking their own languages, also speaking in English, but the aspect of within an office, having more than 60 nationalities, this is something really, it's a whole new level of multiculturality. So one is this. The other thing is that you need to be very alerted to the differences of each country, both in terms of structure, in terms of strategic goals, and in terms of business culture and business standards of each country. This will lead to you being very diplomatic in the way that you can manage a collaboration between many different countries, because the differences sometimes might become an obstacle in pursuing a common goal. However, you have to find the way in order, first of all, not to focus on the differences because there are strengths, and this is where you need to focus on, and try to communicate in the way that the other party will understand. So it's not only what you want to communicate and what you want to say, but it is saying it in the way that the other country will understand what you're saying, and will receive it based on their own cultural system of comprehending what is going on around. This is the difference. This is the small things and small tricks that you have to develop in order to be able to generate a skill set that can help you be efficient in a work as this one.
So it's not so much like how you want to say it. You have to always be thinking, how would I be most effective in how they will hear it?
Perceive
like
it.
how
Yes.
will they perceive or ingest the information or the message that I'm trying to convey?
Yes, because it's very within a culture. This is something that goes behind the carpet, because you know it, you have lived with this. It's part of the subconscious. To the point that you haven't lived with other cultures, you don't understand that this exists. Once you experience a life, be that business or whatever, with many different cultures, you understand that this is something that you need to start working on, able to communicate effectively. So yes, this is a very key point.
And it's such an intuitive thing too, isn't it, with cultures? And this is something I had to draw on, and particularly like having grown up in a non-English speaking household. So understanding the underlying foundations of traditions or elements of, even just from a respecting elders point of view, for as an example,
Yes.
then coming into a work environment, or even doing a lot of work with the Chinese culture, I could see a lot of similarities, that it wasn't so foreign into
Yes.
some of the intricacies there, if that
Yes.
could make sense. But a level of cultural awareness that, particularly when you're working, I think when international tourism comes back as well, that is something that is a fine. Yeah, you've articulated that really, really well. That there are things that you have to appreciate, have a lot of respect, and play that role
And
in taking the time to understand.
sure. And Despina, we're working at a foreign industry, and within an industry of tourism that is so much based on the cultural component and the exchange of cultures and ideas and the way of living and the assets of each destination, and which is the one of the biggest asset of each destination is its people. Therefore, you understand how communication becomes communication and culture becomes a very big part of the work that we do, all of us in tourism, be that a tour operator, a travel agent, a ministry, or an international organization. This doesn't change the need for understanding this.
Ah, absolutely. And that's the beauty of the
Yes,
intangibles, isn't it? The intangibles of these experiences are what you can't articulate or put in a box. That's what keeps us
yes.
yearning for more. Can you give some examples and think of some good collaborative project with some good outcomes in terms of experiences that have come out of the work that you've done and you've been involved in?
Absolutely. I mean, Despina will give you two of them. One being a collaborative example with many, many countries, and the other one being on a country level to see how Silk Road can adapt to different levels and different, would do a transnational concept or to developing a country's Silk Road tourism. So when it comes to the best example that I can think of as something very innovative was the Western Silk Road, because then just to give you the idea of the Silk Road as a whole, it was an ancient route, and it was called Silk Road by a German author later on. But why it was called Silk Road? Because silk at the moment was like gold. It was one of the most precious products that were being transferred. And as we said before, it wasn't only transferring of products. Yes, it was
Yes.
all of this exchange. So a network of routes starting from China, reaching back to the most western part of Europe, and really connecting all these destinations and countries, what we call now countries, as through a network of routes. So the exchange within it was immense. Then this exchange left a lot of tangible and intangible heritage imprint, which now you can identify when you're visiting these destinations. However, the level that you can identify that differs. For example, if you see the Central Asia part, then this is something that they really have it as part of their identity, and you can really see the Silk Road imprint there, even on tangible assets and monuments. Then, if you see it from the western part, Despina, then you have countries that have very strong identities, established identities, and the world knows them for something, for their own tourism assets, and each one being different. And when I speak on the western part, when it comes to Silk Road, we're talking about the European Union countries and the Mediterranean basin, and the surrounding countries. So, when it comes to Silk Road, the heritage that was there was unexplored, especially from a tourist perspective. So we worked with the European Commission and the DG Grow department of the European Commission, and did an exploratory study on the Western Silk Road. And we actually introduced the term of Western Silk Road,
Wow.
and explore the opportunities of collaboration based on Silk Road within what we call now the Western Silk Road segment of the route. This led to many different initiatives, one of them being hosting for first time the ministerial meeting of Silk Road tourists at a Western destinations, and that was Greece in 2018 that you were with us. So this is part of the collaboration and what really can happen based on a common heritage. But then a country level initiative, for example, is what we're doing now with the European Bank of Development and Reconstruction at one city at the local level of at the regional level of Kores. This is Uzbekistan. There is a region called Kores, and in this region there is a very unique city that it's a fortress that dates back to the Silk Road. It's called Kiva. So now we're doing a lot of work with them based on data, on tourism intelligence, on changing the strategic planning of the destination, and coordinate between all the different stakeholders on this regional level and on the local level, because this is a very unique city. So we take it also as a case by itself. And I would like to share with you something very interesting that we did. So this being a very Silk Road related city, with Kiva, we really worked with the residents that many of them are working in tourism. So we wanted to identify and understand how much, what is the social impact tourism has for these residents. So it's not only if they receive income from tourism, but does it change the culture? Does it affect this exchange of a very local destination in the middle of Central Asia? With foreign cultures, with a foreign way of dressing, with a Western way of behaving. Does this affect the local culture? And the results, we have it, but I will not share it with you. But the thing is that I wanted to say that the social impact of tourism is also a very big element that we are searching for when we're working with Silk Road destinations. So this is something that we have to gain a holistic approach. So it's not only working with the key stakeholders or the normal stakeholders from the business perspective, from the governance perspective, but also getting on the ground and see how this really affects the local societies that we're working with.
What a vast, I guess, what a tapestry that you're exposed to. It's so many different levels. I can only, like, my mind, and even just being in the presence in a Silk Road environment in Thessaloniki a couple of years ago, you could really appreciate this eclectic richness of diversity in history and culture. It's like nothing else. It was absolutely a highlight of my personal career, just to be in that environment. What is something when things don't go to plan? When you are working on a project and finding a challenge, what do you can you think of a time, or take us to a moment where it's been really challenging in a collaboration? Because I think many of us have experienced that too, when you have when this, there is a guided path, but you can find some roadblocks. Can you take back to a time, and it doesn't even, even before, during, or after, and things that you have learned through that experience that you may want to share or not?
Yes. I mean, I cannot name due to the work regulations, but I can at least describe a situation. So, working with a partner and really having proposed a project and set out the roadway in order to achieve the implementation of this project. Now, this being due to difference in culture and in business culture, you might say that this needs a lot of thorough work and requires to be done within a month or 2 months time. In order for you to be able to dig deep and really do this provide an output of quality. Now, there might be that this other partner has a business culture that says, okay, today I decide something, tomorrow I want it. but the quality doesn't matter so much. I just need to report to my boss that I have delivered something. So these are, for example, instances of where of the times that we were speaking before, that you need to take on board and use your skills of communicating well based on how the other one will understand it. Because you might know that this needs a lot of work, this needs a lot of time to give an output of quality, but on the other hand, the other partner may not understand it the way that you are expressing it. So you have to change that. So I had obstacles like this. How did I manage it? It just you have to take a step and sit back and think what are the differences and why the communication channels are broken here, and try to understand what are the interests of the other party, not only the interests of the projects, but when people are involved, sometimes their personal interest as well. So you need or personal ways of seeing the project interests. So you have to take that into account as well, and try to see where you can bridge these gaps of point of views, and really do the steps and be proactive in order to or avoid such situations, or show that you're willing to find the solutions of these situations. So I think this describes various of project challenges that we had, not only working with UNWTO. I think this reflects to every single work environment, and I have had experience this on the previous work settings as well. So I think this is an important key takeaway that I have had through my experience.
Oh, and I think many listening at the moment can really relate to what you're saying. But I really think always focusing, taking the focus off your own interests and putting it in the other person's to achieve the best outcomes is a really good share there, Nikos. Your turning point that you went from, I've made so much sacrifice to pursue this career, to thank God I made this sacrifice. Can you remember an aha moment? Like mine was Thessaloniki was a highlight. Can you take me to a time where you had an aha moment that this is exactly where I'm meant to be?
Okay, if I have to connect it, if I have to connect it with the sacrifice that you said, the aha moment was the time of the call that I received when I was in Melbourne, that I was accepted to UNWTO. So this was the moment that I said, okay, all the sacrifices that I have done so far to study these masters, for me to come to Australia, to be working and studying on the same time, to really not having other time to do any social activities for this for the majority of these 2 years. This was a big sacrifice, and also being far away from your natural environment, from the environment that you know, from your comfort zone. So this is a sacrifice, at least in the beginning. But this moment, I said, okay, so I up to this point, I was believing that I was doing it right, but now I really can justify it.
Yes.
So I was believing, I was supporting my own self, saying, no, Nikos, you are doing this right. This is a very good opportunity that you have taken here, and the experiences you have in Melbourne are at least awesome. So the moment that I really saw that this converts from a studying opportunity to a career pathway of that importance for me, it was the moment I said, aha, okay, so I'm doing this right. Yes, justified.
So, Nicholas, something that I'm really curious about is with your study and the pursuit of excellence through academia. Now, there might be a lot of people listening, yours truly included, that have had that as a goal for themselves, and maybe a lot of time has passed, or it has been something that they've always wanted to do to pursue some level of formal qualification. Maybe it's not a master's, but maybe it's a Cert 4 or a diploma, or going through, going through to do their bachelor's. But life can get in the way. Can you talk to that and give some of your wisdom about the benefits of further study and higher education, and how that has really served you in your current role and in your career?
So yes, that's been absolutely the benefits of the higher education or pursuing a further degree or academia progress when you are already established at your work or already established academically. What you can actually really do is investigate the courses and the material of the courses that they have, and how this can complement the skill set that you already have. It is very significant to see the differences of gaining skills through academia and being in an academic environment with being at a working environment or getting some courses that your business can offer you. Because the difference here is that academia is free of business oriented goals or business oriented biases. Academia, it's all about, okay, what is objective, what we can do, what exists in the world without any problems of, okay, yes, but we are, yes, this is very important, but we cannot do this because our business is the X or the Y. So it's very, very important for me to value this objectivity that a university environment or academic environment will automatically give you. Though, of course, nowadays we're already speaking that the university should be very well connected with the industry. This is true. But on the other hand, they shouldn't miss the nature of their very own existence, which is to be objective, to transmit knowledge, and to create new knowledge through the university, through a master's degree, for example, or through another qualification. What you will do is that you will get into this sphere again, and you will always get into the path, apart from creating new skill sets, depending on the master's or the academic path that you will decide to take, but also start to see again the world from a more objective view. And this is something that I think is very important for us to do as we grow on our career, just to come back and revisit if we are doing the things as we wanted to do, and if we're contributing to the world in the way that we want it. So yes, I would do that. For example, I do see myself pursuing another academic degree or a PhD or something in the near future.
You answered my question. Are you still hungry for more? And that is, isn't it? Like that exploration, to even just to be in that environment where you can question everything and delve deeper and more objectively. So you've still got some more study in
Exactly.
you. I think that's it. With the curious mind, you'll always be attracted. I guess we're students for life in everything, but I like that there is a balance and an appreciation also for the learnings within the working environment, that if
Of course, absolutely.
that is not
Absolutely.
yeah, that is priceless in any development.
Yeah, absolutely. I
Now,
mean, let's be now. When you start working, your education doesn't stop there. Yes. So absolutely, you have to continue developing yourself, your skills, and through the business environment. I mean, all the training, all the skills and development that you can have within the business is, as you said, priceless. And this is not only education; it's education that become experience like at the moment. So hands-on experience. This is something priceless. Of course, we're not even discussing if this is valuable or not. We are
yes,
discussing what would be the benefit of doing a master's in academia, because then yes, the big difference is that you are able to disconnect from whatever the business a business would represent. Then it's you and the knowledge and the university, of course. So then this is the difference that I see with doing an academic path again. Like just going back to your old pathways and see how you can continue working them.
So true. I read a great quote, and I love this one that came in my feed just before I spoke to you, actually. And it said, if you are the smartest person in the room, you are in the wrong room. And I think that is something that
Right,
through,
right,
through pursuing,
right.
I think that's something that I'm attracted to as well. Just being in the room with other, with other, it exposes you to a lot of different thought leadership in
Exactly.
that environment. Now, I'm going to take you through now to our excellence round to start
Okay,
wrapping up.
let's go.
Let's go. In the beginning of launching your career and really making that decision to focus in tourism, was there anything that was holding you back at the time that you can remember?
No, no. When I even came to Australia, I said I don't care. I might be sleeping on the streets, but I will do the masters. Even though it was, the masters super expensive, and living on the streets, just a completely different concept. So I said I don't mind the masters. I will finish. So I think at least at this stage, I was super determined to do the masters, and then as long as I have the opportunity for my career, I just took it without any question. So nothing was holding me back in that sense when
Love
we
it.
started.
And that is something a lot of successful people, that is something that is very clear, that vision and there's no turning back. This will not fail. I will do this is so important in that
Yeah.
language and being that and that certainty. I love that, Nicholas.
This helps you with the self motivation, Despina, which is super important at many different times of your career. That you need to be self motivated in order to overcome various obstacles or situations that are happening around, and be determined and know that okay, I'm going to do this, yes or yes, or sí o sí, how we say here in Spain, yes. I mean, it's crucial. It's crucial, and you feel it. You feel it inside you. That it's not something that you decide to do. You don't decide to be 100% there. You feel it that you, and that feeling makes you be 100% there.
You know what I call that, Nicholas? Beast mode. You go
What is
into
beast mode? You turn into the
like
business mode.
no, you go into beast mode, like beast. It's like there's
Yeah.
I
Right,
will
right,
not
right,
be I will not be
right.
deterred.
Exactly.
Focus. What is the best advice you've ever received?
Despina, so the best advice that I've ever received when it comes to the professional aspect of my life, because there were more, of course, but what I think is of interest here is the personal aspect, the professional aspect. I would say the advice of my professor from when I was studying my bachelor's in Thessaloniki, who said, "Do not submit anything unless you have reviewed it 10 times." And this means that you don't, it's not only about proofreading, it's also about really studying what are you saying, what are you suggesting, what are you proposing, how you are positioning an argument on whatever you create before this goes to someone else. And this is connected also to what we were discussing previously about make sure what you communicate can be well understood by the others, because in your mind it might be super clear, but that doesn't mean that it will be super clear for the others. So I have found instances in my work life when I haven't really used this advice, and I saw the results, and I'm saying, okay, yes, if I have done it, it would be way better result. So this is the advice that I keep with me, at least for now.
So you still do that now? You find
Yes.
yourself to really, if it's anything, whether it's a proposal or an important email that you're sending, you'll give it space. I think that's a
Yes,
really good,
yes,
solid
yes.
advice.
I give it space. Sometimes you have to rework something that was super clear to you, but then you say, wait a minute, will the other have the same information that I have in order to understand it this way? So then, yes, you might do the changes that are needed.
It's almost like fresh eyes again, isn't it, in that instance? Like any type of work, when you let it breathe a little bit and you come back. I know when I write, even if it's a blog post, I always say, what was I thinking there? Like that, you always pick,
Exactly.
it's like you are your own, you can be your own proofreader,
Sure,
or yeah,
sure.
a second,
And it's
yeah.
not that much of proofreading. It's not about a typo or something wrong that
Yes,
you have
no.
said or a grammar mistake. It's more of content, Just review that the content you're putting in, it's what you really want the others to understand.
Oh, 100%. I really love that. Now, you have a lot of personal habits that contribute to your success, but what are some that we haven't talked about and that many people might not know about you? Some habits that you have in your working day, like anything that you do ritually in the morning or through your work that really contributes to you managing yourself well.
Habits. Well, I cannot work without my coffee. Let's start
Yeah.
like this because I cannot work without my coffee. I really need to have this Greek coffee. I boil it, in the morning. I just put the water and the coffee coming up to boil,
Is it Greek
and
coffee
then
that you have in Spain?
it's
What
in
type
the
of coffee?
beginning. No, it's Greek coffee imported from Greece, but. But this is for the morning, and then all types of coffee available. I would love it. And here I would like to make a tribute to the coffee of Melbourne, to the coffee culture and the coffee quality of Melbourne, because I miss it so much. I mean, it's super difficult to find good coffee once you have experienced Melbourne coffee.
Yes.
Then like you I'll take you here to the best coffee of the city, etc. And you go and you're like, this you could find at any suburb of Melbourne without this being anything anything super important. And yeah, I miss it. I miss coffee from Melbourne.
Yes. It's like the Greek frappe, like anywhere you go warm in
Ah,
the world, you say, how can this have not caught on everywhere? It's like
exactly,
that you
exactly.
can have a
It's the
frappe,
same.
Greek style frappe. Yeah, that's
Yes.
my most favorite thing to make for people when they come over or to take them
And it's
to
so
a Greek.
easy. I don't know why it hasn't taken off. It's so
I
easy
don't
to do.
Yeah, you could be anywhere. Yeah, and to say that, what would be nice now? A frappe. Not a nice coffee, a frappe.
Frappe, yes.
There's I
Well,
love
you're
that. So,
entering summer now, right? You're entering
oh
summer,
yeah,
so
frappe season is open right now.
okay.
Yeah,
All
definitely,
right.
definitely.
Good.
So a good coffee, a good Greek coffee. Now an internet. Now I guess your project management. How can you share an internet resource, or how do you lay out and manage and collaborate internally? Is there some gold you can share in there, or something that you love personally or within your team that you use
Mm.
to manage the workload?
Yeah, I mean, of course, I'm not. I shouldn't be highlighting any specific app or any specific platform in that sense. But we have our own platforms in the house that we use in order to collaborate because you need a lot of synergies and constant communication to be able to materialize all your activities that you have. What I would say and really works well with me is that I love OneNote, which is the app of Microsoft that comes within the Office, and I find it very helpful to take notes, to highlight stuff that I want to do. Yes, I think this for my personal own time of work that I want to revisit. Different activities, the states of their completion, etc. Or for me, when I do it for me and quickly, I use OneNote. Then, of course, we have the other platforms of project management, etc., that we use for teamwork. But I cannot name
Brilliant.
this.
And that's like the equivalent of notes for a
Yeah,
Mac or your phone, like something that you can quickly, whether it's on your phone, you want to jot down or an idea or a
exactly.
conversation. So that's a good one. OneNote or notes. A book that you would recommend to our listeners. Is there a book that you could highlight that stands out for you to share?
Okay, I was thinking about this, and a friend of mine said, a friend of mine was reading a book. I'm like, what are you reading? And my friend responded, I'm not telling you, this is part of myself. This is part of myself that I deal with when I deal my alone time. So I'm not saying this. And I'm like, okay. So this was, this was interesting to see that the book that you're reading might reflect something of you that you want to keep it only for you.
Oh,
This is not my case.
yeah.
But what I would like to do is to share a funny story rather than my best one. I was at a friend's house the other day, some weeks ago, and this friend had been to Greece and had bought a book that says Guide to Xenophobia of Greeks. So if you have xenophobia, and it's comedy, right? It's not
Yeah,
a,
yeah,
a
yeah.
real thing.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
So if you feel xenophobia towards Greeks, but because of the stereotypes. So
Yeah.
what it says, it's a book written with all the stereotypes, and it explains to the reader why they shouldn't be afraid of the Greeks. For
Yeah.
example, and I'm pretty sure that you will relate, it says, if you're at a coffee place and you see two Greeks shouting at each other, most likely they are saying, I love you, you are the best, they're not fighting. So
Yeah.
do not be afraid, this type of stuff. So I'm pretty sure you can
Oh
relate.
yeah, I
Yeah.
remember in the work, like if mum would call, for example, and I'm in the early days, and it was like a call center environment. Like, are you okay? When you're speaking Greek, it sounds like you're really angry.
And then
No, that's
you
my
might
mum.
be
I love
saying, exactly, you might be saying, the most sweet thing, but it sounds
it.
to the others something like very brutal. So
Yeah,
yes, this is a part that I would like to share when it comes to the book, because it's what I have most recent as fun experience. And I read it
yeah.
and I was laughing all the time. I was laughing until the end of it.
I'd say they're funny, those little nuances, and it's funny. Like there's a Greek comedy act down here. I don't know if you've
Yeah.
heard of the Sushi Mango. They they
No,
they
no, no, I
play
haven't.
on. You got to look them up on Instagram. It's just again the same thing that you can relate. It's kind of like, yeah, going to your mum's
Yeah,
house and you've just eaten and
sure.
you're stuffed. You can't eat anymore, and then she loads you up and
Yeah, of
with
course,
all
because
these,
then you haven't eaten a
all these
lot.
things to then take home. It's in all Tupperware
Sure.
and old, like then you're taking
Yeah, exactly.
like
Right.
2 weeks worth of grocery back home with you. So yeah, that was just a funny thing recently. Your favorite destination and a holiday that you're most looking forward to, or a destination that you're most looking forward to travel to next. So do you have a top favorite or a top three that you could share with us?
I'm very biased. Of course, I have, but I'm very biased. My favorite destination is connected to people and my own experiences there. I would say it's Thessaloniki, because this was the destination where I was studying and living. So it's a very beautiful city in the northern part of Greece. So I would suggest anybody visiting Greece to go to Thessaloniki. It's super important for you to experience not only the Greece from the islands, but also the Greece from the northern part and the inland of Greece. So yes, I'm biased in that sense. And what else? But I want to do a trip. Yes, I want to do a long trip in South America, in Latin America. because right now, thank God, me being here to help me develop another language skill. So now I can speak Spanish as well. And this, I like to bring this. I feel way more comfortable now traveling solo around Latin America. So I think at some point I will do that.
How did that develop? That's like, has that been during your time there in the last 4 years that you learned
Yes,
Spanish? Yeah.
yes, yes.
Did you do that formally, or you've picked it up just being surrounded by it and living in the country? Did you take some language lessons?
Well, I did take some basic language lessons in the beginning, but then the setting was within the breaks of work, so it wasn't really working well. And then I had to do some my own self learning. Plus, living inside the country, you have all the opportunities to speak the language. You need to speak the language because they're not speaking English that widely in Spain. So I mean, I had to learn the language, yes or yes.
Yes. Yes or yes. That's what you said before. It was C or C, right? Is that what the
COC,
Spanish
yes,
said?
yes,
C or
it
C.
comes from this. Now,
Yeah.
a trilingual person, a person who is trilingual, has the mind so entangled with the three languages are so entangled. So I might jump from Greek to Spanish, Spanish to English, English to Greek, English to Spanish. It's so you use elements from all these languages and references, so
So good.
it's very interesting. It's very interesting. It doesn't
Very
always come
interesting.
up. It doesn't always come up on something that works. So, but sometimes it's something ingenious that you have said. That's because you use these links between the languages.
Oh, it's a superpower, and you have three of them. So good, Nikos. Well done.
Let me say something, Despina. This is for all our Greek speakers. Spanish language has also a lot of Greek words, and then they say something, and they think that you don't know, and they try to explain to you, and they say, "Please, I'm Greek. I know what it means."
So you
No,
see a lot of
just
similarities. So
kidding, kidding.
yeah. Um, like the movie A Big Fat Greek Wedding. Like everything,
Yeah.
like it's from a Greek word. So good, Nikos. Thank you so much for your time and beaming in. We're 10 hours apart. We've made this happen, and
Yes.
we always make the effort to catch up where we can, and it's always a treat. And I'm just so happy that this conversation could be shared widely with others and share you and get and for everyone to get to know you. Speaking of you, how can everybody best connect with you? Would that be on your LinkedIn or your
Yes.
Instagram?
Yes.
How would you best like to let people know to connect and come and chat with you directly?
Well, professionally wise, and many business oriented questions or opportunities, this would come through LinkedIn. This is the best platform. But then sharing the experiences and the traveling and the destinations, then yes, that would be Instagram, maybe, yes. So both of the platforms are open, and or Twitter as well if something is happening right now and we want to discuss it as well.
Wonderful. I'll add that in the show notes so you can go into
Excellent.
instituteofexcellence.com and look up Nikos there on under instituteofexcellence.com/podcast. Nikos, so much to share. It is real highlight of how we met, and to think from that coffee catch up while you're a student in Melbourne has also teleported me to join you in it is notably next to Melbourne, another top favorite city in the world, Thessaloniki, to spend that week with you on the Silk Road project and the
Ministers
conference,
meeting.
the ministers' meeting that was held there. So many amazing things to take away from our chat today, but notably and most importantly, I loved what you shared around your thoughts about collaboration and to always be thinking about the interest of the other party. So being very proactive in putting the focus on what is the best outcome for them first, not for ourselves. I thought that was wonderful. Reviewing your work 10 times, not just for spelling errors, but really objectively looking at your work and questioning what you're doing, particularly with anything of, I think anything really, everything that we're doing is important and lands somewhere
Yeah.
for your journey. So I thought that was wonderful advice from your professor at University of
Thessaloniki, Aristotle University of
Thessaloniki,
Thessaloniki.
Aristotle University of Thessaloniki. And last but not least, just if you're going to drink coffee, drink good coffee and Greek coffee. Just joking.
I know, right? I know. I
So
know.
thank you again.
Thank you very much, Despina. Thank you. And next time we have another coffee, let's say in Melbourne. Why not? Now that you are open, once all this finishes, and then we can live stream to everybody and see that after 2014 that we first met, with various stops in 2018 Thessaloniki, 2020 here, we meet again back in Melbourne with a
Oh,
very good coffee.
this might be the first. It's definitely not the last. Yes, 100%. But all the best to you, my dear Nikos. And I hope for everybody that tuned in and listened to the show that you got as much out of that as I did. And until next time, my dear friends, I wish you all the best, and I wish you to be excellent today and every single day. My name is Despina Karatias, and you've tuned in to another episode of the Tourism Hub podcast. Goodbye for now. Thanks again for joining us on the Tourism Hub podcast. If you found this podcast valuable, it will mean the world to give us a review on Apple iTunes. Be excellent, and don't forget we also have courses available at instituteofexcellence.com to help you and your small business greatness.
Relax.